Attention all cars. Firefighting crews have put out the blaze at Grimes Novelty and Gags. Arson investigation team report to fire scene immediately. Fire Chief Wu is on scene.
A fire at Grimes Novelties. Sounds like the police think someone deliberately tried to burn down the store. Let's get over there and see if we can help out. Poor Mr. Grimes. The firemen have done a good job of putting out the fire, but look at this mess. Let's see what clues we can find.
The fire started around 10 o'clock last night when the shop was empty, so luckily there were no injuries. But it looks to me like this fire was deliberately set. My report will list it as a clear-cut case of arson.
This is a nightmare. My entire stock of whoopee cushions is melted. And just look at my electric hand buzzers. They're fused solid. The place is ruined. I'll have to find a whole new location and start over. I wish I'd sold out to Brass Monkey when I had the chance. Their owner, Mr. Edwards, made me another offer over dinner at Swank's Cafe just last week. I can't believe I turned him down. That kook crank could have broken the window to get in and done this for revenge. I fired him last week and he was furious about it.
Good find. The gasoline in this can was probably used to start the fire. I'll take it down to the crime lab and have it examined for fingerprints.
Swank's is a really fancy hotel. They have the best restaurant in town. It's also the most expensive place to eat in Richview. Ms. Case is the manager.
I heard the fire engine last night towards the end of my shift. Thank goodness the flames didn't spread to our building. Mr. Grimes must be very upset. Ironically, he was having a late dinner here, right next door to the fire. He left here right around 9:30. If he had stayed just a little bit later, he would have seen the flames himself.
Man, what a bummer for Mr. Grimes. He hangs out here a lot. The guy's a lousy tipper, though. He took Mr. Edwards to dinner here just last week. He was really trying to butter him up, I guess. I was doing a waitering shift in the cafe, and he had me bring them a bottle of champagne. Mr. Grimes even asked for a matchbook with the Swank's logo on it, but he doesn't smoke. Weird.
The police may be able to tell us more about the fire. Let's pay them a visit.
Ah, I see the Eagle-Eyed Detective Agency is on the case. Great to see you kids. Your help is always welcome. I'm afraid we're at a dead end on this one. The crime lab examined the gas can found at the scene of the crime, but there were no fingerprints. The arsonist was careful to cover his tracks.
Mr. Edwards owns the Brass Monkey Antique Store. Let's ask him if he knows anything about the fire.
Arson at Grimes Novelties? How awful! Thank heavens I didn't jump on Grimes's offer. He was trying to convince me to buy the store last week over dinner, but I told him I'm not ready to open a new branch yet.
I couldn't help overhearing, Jennifer. Poor Mr. Grimes, this'll ruin him. He'll never be able to afford the payments on his new store now.
Which new store? I thought that the novelty shop was his only business.
Well, as you know, I teach part-time at Teddy Bear's Picnic Preschool. The pay is low, so to help make ends meet, I also sell real estate. Mr. Grimes was one of my clients. He recently bought a new storefront at the mall through me. He planned to open his new shop next month.
Look at that ashtray. Mr. Edwards must smoke. Yuck! What a gross habit!
Grimes was so pushy about selling me his shop that he mailed me these blueprints. The building is okay, but the location is terrible for a novelty shop. It was part of the old downtown. The other buildings there have been renovated and made much more upscale, you know. Swanks, the Egyptian Theater. He must have had a rough time finding customers for dribble glasses in that neighborhood.
Can I help you two with something?
We're investigating the fire over at Grimes Novelties. The police think it may have been arson.
Fascinating, I'm sure. Make it quick, please, and try not to bother Mr. Edwards. We were both up late last night at an antique dealers convention in Mount Vernon.
Everyone in Richview knows Professor Crank. He teaches over at the college in Mount Vernon. He's very, very smart, but a little strange.
Well, what do you want me to say? Grimes was a cheapskate. I can't say I'm too sorry to hear he's having troubles. I worked part-time for him, inventing new practical jokes until last week. Then he up and fires me for no reason at all. Well, he told me that he was having financial troubles. I guess that's true. He hasn't sold many of my jokes lately.
What in the world is that?
Hey, come away from there, you two. That one's not patented yet. I was up all night getting just the right mixture of dehydrated slime and slog-textured instant gel for that project. It'll be a great prank if I can just figure out how to get them to squirm after you add water.
It looks like we've collected enough evidence to go to the police. Pick the 5 clues you think will help them prove who set fire to the novelty store. Those are the clues we need. Now point to the person you think is the arsonist. You're right. Mr. Grimes burned down his own shop for the insurance money. Let's check the evidence. Mr. Grimes told us that he had turned down Mr. Edwards' offer to buy his novelty store. But Mr. Edwards told us that Grimes had been pressuring him to buy the shop. He also mentioned that the store was in a bad location for a novelty shop. The window by the door at Grimes was broken, but the glass was outside. Whoever broke that window was already inside the shop. Chuck told us that he gave a Swanks matchbook like the one found at the scene of the crime to Mr. Grimes the day he took Mr. Edwards to dinner. Ms. Case mentioned that Mr. Grimes was at Swanks having dinner just before the fire. When we ran into Sylvia Torres, she told us that Mr. Grimes had bought a new storefront at the mall from her. This was before his old shop burned down. At the police station, we found out that Mr. Grimes had insured his business against fire for $1 million. You figured it out. Mr. Grimes burned his own shop down so the insurance company would give him the money he needed to pay for his new shop in the mall.